If we then go into sort of the outright markets, then I know we've just touched on it, but we'll pivot to the we'll go WTA side this time first of all. As we said, Świątek, Sabalenka, and Rybakina are sort of split by very fine margins in that top three. I see your article that's going to come out soon, Dan. You were sort of saying Świątek, her game might not be the most suitable for grass out of those top three. And we've obviously heard about Rybakina's sort of illnesses and trying to get over that. Do we still see someone from that? Yeah, do we still see someone from that top three winning it?
Well, look, I think that the Swiatek price is not really something that interests me. But the clear point for me is that this is a surface which is a leveler between her and the field, whereas on clay and even on hard court, she's just streets ahead of everybody else, and there's no comparison. And she's got to have a big off day, and the opponent's got to play very, very well for her to get beaten. I don't think there's much doubt about that. On grass, I think there's a different argument. Stats wise, over the last couple of years in grass, she is not the tour leader, and she's not that close to being tour leader. Sorry, I should say. I'll be really interested to see how she gets on over this week. But then Sabalenka and Rybakina don't really come into this with a great deal of wins either. So I actually am really, really looking forward to this women's Wimbledon, because I think this is wide open.
Yeah.
And there's maybe 10 players, I think, who could realistically have half a chance of winning a Grand Slam. And it almost, well, not almost certainly, but it's highly likely mathematically that there's going to be a new winner of a new Wimbledon winner here, because after Rybakina, you have to go back to 2014 Kvitova to find the last winner of the tournament who's going to be in this field. So that's going to be fascinating as well. So yeah, I can't wait for this. I think this is going to be a much more interesting tournament than the men's, I'm sorry to say. And yeah, buzzing to see how certain players get on.
Yeah. No, I think that's well said. And the only glimmer, I mean, if you're a hardcore Iga supporter, or if you've already locked in a big price for her at Wimbledon, the only kind of thing I can give you in terms of fuel is her hold percentage is up meaningfully from last year. And if she's improving that aspect of her game, I haven't seen it by eye, but if it is improved, then that helps her chances, certainly. But I agree with Dan's sentiment where they're realists. You said 10, I think, and I think that's kind of the issue, which is there are 10 to 12 women who I think all kind of have relatively close win equity here. There's not a big separation in the top three to the rest of the field. And the rest of the field is pretty divorced as well, I think, where you have players who have good game and are in good form, like Ekaterina Alexandrova and Kudermetova, and maybe Samsonova, maybe Krejcikova, definitely Kvitova, maybe Caroline Garcia. They're that group there is. I would take any one of those women head to head at price against Sabalenka or Rybakina right now, given what we're seeing from them. I'm not convinced 100% that Rybakina plays this tournament. I think you need to keep a very close eye on news and information from her camp as to whether she's ultimately going to go or whether she's going to withdraw. And that's going to have, huge effects in the futures markets, futures pools, particularly if it comes after we see where she's seated. So that's kind of at the very top of my mind right now in terms of trying to capture price. I think I didn't really mention Ons Jabeur. I don't really know what to do with that. I have some personal scars from her so close last year that are affecting my perception, certainly. But she does have she does have a specialist nature about her in terms of her game and the way it plays on grass. So you have to at least kind of think she is on the fringes of the mix, if not squarely in the mix. And then there are other players of the class of like the Beatrice Haddad Mayas who, have shown that they have an endurance at the slam level that could get them through just on the basis of perseverance. So yeah, right there, I think that's kind of my my quote unquote mix of players who I think realistically could win. The only players that the US players I'm pretty cool on right now. I'm cool on Pegula. I'm cool on Coco Gauff. I'm cool on Danielle Collins. I'm not seeing enough out of Sakkari to think that she can get over the hump here. I'm not seeing anything from Kasatkina. Bencic is a scratch. Muhova is interesting. I liked her, which, she obviously, is no longer a very valuable price because of what she did at the French Open. But she could put together another run. Ostapenko a little bit too volatile. Pliskova over the hill, Azarenka over the hill. Vekic I didn't mention, but she's kind of in that mix with Alexandrova and Kudermetova for me in terms of that second class. But the women's side is going to be extremely fun. I'm curious, out of those names or anyone I didn't mention, people that Dan has eyes for, because you're probably going to need to play the draw a little bit here. And that's fine. That'll be a fun problem to solve. This is good. The women's is going to be significantly more entertaining than the men's. I think that's a safe bet.
No, I agree with pretty much everything that Drew says, as is often the case. Look, I think that there's certainly some players that you can pretty much draw a line through here, either just injury doubts or really out of form, or not really with that much grass pedigree. So you wade through those and maybe find a few players who I think I would definitely be looking to at least keep an eye on for the draw. Jabeur would be one, just because she's done really well on grass historically. Obviously runner-up here last year. Be interesting to see how she gets on over the course of this week. In Eastbourne, she had a good win over Paolini today in straight sets, so that was the start. Kvitova is, I think, one of the form horses going into this tournament. Obviously, we know she's got grass pedigree, and she's won the warm-up event in Berlin without even dropping a set. And I at the moment, last time I checked, I think her price was 18.76 with Pinnacle. I don't think that price is going to be there very long. That's going to be 14s-ish probably pretty soon.
Is she the standout one of that sort of group just below that you pick out?
There's certainly a lot to like about that. It's just whether she's got it in her to play consistently well for 7 matches at kind of this stage of her career would be my kind of take on it. Alexandrova, a bigger price, who actually I don't think is actually in the Pinnacle market yet. So there's a request, Charlie. Get Alexandrova in the market.
We'll get the traders on that ASAP.
Yeah. So she's a fast surface specialist. She won her Togenbosch semi-final in Berlin as well. So another form horse going into this event, and the conditions I think are going to really suit her. And with confidence and some decent grass court pedigree, she could be a really dangerous sort of player from away from the top seeds of this tournament, I think. And if you fancy a little bit of volatility in your life, I think Ostapenko might give you a run for your money as well. The serve's always a question mark, but actually, out of all of the contenders, of the top 20 contenders on the Pinnacle prices right now, she's got the highest return points won on grass by quite a long way over the last couple of years, and obviously one in Birmingham as well. So she's coming into the event without that many doubts over her. So let's see how the draw goes for her as well. I mean, that's going to be fascinating too.